Justin, tell us about the work you do with Kechara and how feeding the homeless became your vocation.
Well, we run. Okay. Basically, I run the show in Kechara Soup Kitchen. It's the daily operation as well as the operation over outside of KL. We have two other branches where in Penang, northern region, southern region is JB, and then of course we have other virtual smaller branches, if you say, in other states in Peninsula and Sarawak. So many didn't know that we're uh, not just a soup kitchen per se, although our name as per registered with the ROS, but we envision to help people more than just food. You know, there's many other aspects in our work actually, which includes matching people with jobs, sending them to shelters, you know, getting them into rehab programs, provide a little bit here and there to make sure that they have that basic sustenance to carry on with their life, or if not, live the life that they are now currently in. So we have three programs. Like I said just now, we're not just a soup kitchen. We also run a food bank program across the nation, and also we also empower them through training them with some basic skills such as sewing and baking. And then apart from there, under within these departments as well, we have this so-called um, periodical project, if you like back to school recently. And for your information, I just came back from Taman Negara serving the orang aslis there.
Wow.
Okay.
And yeah, yeah. So I'm feeling the heat now. We just came back from Taman Negara. It was really humid over there. And then yeah, and how did it all this happen? Well, 13 years ago, I came across this activity. I was really opened my eye about this because homelessness was unheard of back then. And you see, when I look at it, it just something goes on into my mind that it says that how worse can you be apart from being just homeless? You know, you could be a handicapped person with no disrespect to them, yeah, and then or you can be a mentally challenged, you can be someone who's elderly, you can be an orphan, but you know what, you still have a roof over your head. You could be in the shelters, you could be within your family, you could be taken care by someone, you see.
Mm.
But here itself, for homeless, it is literally nobody actually cares about you. And little did you know, the category that I spoken just now, all of them have actually a higher risk of getting into homelessness itself, because homelessness is basically you have a very low system support. That's just about it. So it's pretty bad that someone ends up into becoming a homeless. So that's
Mm.
how I was thinking about it. And as I've spoken just now, homelessness was literally unheard of back then, and I felt compelled to do this. And when I know that Soup Kitchen or KSK has this program that there's not only about food, it's about helping this person to leave the current situation into a better life. So it talk about helping them find job, just as simple as that, you know, or replace a lost my card. So that's what I felt that compelled to do. And that's how I felt, okay, you know what, there's nothing else more meaningful than this. I probably want to do it for the rest of my life. I was 31 back then. So
You weren't
I
always
do,
doing this. You what line were you in before you got into this?
well, I was in numerous lines. My friends thought I had depression. um, I was in the banking line for quite a while. And
Mm.
then after that came out, I decided to run my own business and into hardware industries, into computer line, you know. And before I came across this activity, and that's how I felt more compelled to do, and decided to drop everything and go in, because I had the situation was quite okay for me to leave my so-called comfort zone. And then yeah, I never looked back. I've never regretted it. And in fact, as a matter of fact, to tell you honestly, JD and Nasha, I've benefited quite a lot from my decision because it has benefited me so much. Be it in the perspective of seeing how things are in life and all that, and it's not just, this world doesn't just goes around with money and so-called life, having a family, having a house, a nice car, have a pet, you can go travel and all that. It doesn't revolve just like that. It has to be something more meaningful, which I felt then after I joined. Then okay, I found what I like for the first time in my 30 years of life. So it's really, I'm really grateful that I'm still in this job, and I'm still kicking and running, and I'm looking forward to do this for the rest of my life.
Okay, I'm just going to pause you right there for 1 second. Can you please set your notifications on your
Oh,
computer? Yeah, because we're hearing.
Okay.
But what was that moment that found you, with the soup kitchen? Like, what was that moment that steered you in that way? How did you find the soup kitchen, and how did you actually get involved with them in the first place?
well, I found out about Kechara Soup Kitchen through the founder himself. It's in one of those bazaar, the bazaar thingy that I came across a booth, and then I thought, okay, this is something new. You have my attention now, because previously the only charity that I can remember doing was just some spare change into the donation box, and I've never thought about it, for the fact that charity is not something that I prioritize those days. Then once I saw about this activity, I became interested to find out more, and that's where I joined. And when I went to the streets for the first time, I felt that, oh wow, back then KSK is still a very very small setting. You have individuals like me, who would like to spend a little bit more time on weekends, and we will be very happy when we have like 15 volunteers coming on a particular Saturday. And back then we were just serving about hundreds of them, 100 over packets of food back then. We felt compelled to do, and because there's not so many people know about homelessness and all that, we felt that we would like to contribute to society. And as a matter of fact, I usually fill up my Saturdays like hanging out with friends, with my football games and whatnot. I found something more meaningful than just that. And that's how I become more involved, and to an extent that I become a regular and committed person. And when the opportunity came, I was actually offered this post because the KSK has come to a point where we needed to grow to another level, if you like, because of the food that we have been giving. We were constantly asked about this question: when will this end? We need to do something about it. We need to do something that we can help this individual to get off the street. So it's pretty natural back then. It's just everything just fall into place, and I just got involved,
So
and then,
how
yeah.
long ago was it that you actually sort of stepped up to sort of running it? When did that happen?
Oh, it happened back in 2008. I joined as a volunteer back in 2007, and that's how I got involved. And we had to start from scratch. Everything, I'm probably the first paid staff there. Now we have about 15 of them. Yeah, the rest you can tell. It's really, well, it's really heartwarming. I'm really glad that things have fallen into place, and all the sweat, all the hardship, whatever you call it, it is worth it because of the scale that we are doing now. Is something that's phenomenal.
Okay, so what are the biggest challenges for you during this MCO? You've mentioned scale. Perhaps you could tell us a bit more about that and any of the other challenges you've had.
Well, it's basically uncertainty. The challenges here is huge. I would say, you see, people now we're seeing that the economy is on the brink of for lack of a better word, it is going downwards, right? So it's a lot of uncertainty for companies, and don't forget NGO runs on donations as well. So that's where the worry is, and because given to my post now, because I also take care of the financial side of things,
Mm.
we have to look at the budget. We have to plan ourselves better for the next few years down the road, because knowing that, when the situation is bad, then of course people are more lesser compelled to donate, or probably they can donate lesser. But it doesn't mean that they don't care anymore. It's just that everybody is now working on a very tight budget. So this is one of the main worries about the current MCO, because is as things going now, you see, we are getting more requests to help here and there, and then there are people who are worried about the pandemic, whether they will get it or not. Of course, we know the pandemic better now, but we have lesser people coming to help. And you know very well that KSK runs on volunteer, relies heavily on volunteers, and this is something that worries me as an operation director. You see, because we need people to run the thing. If without people, without help, then we would not be able to extend help to them. So in comparison, like our current trip to Kuala Taman Negara, we only have 4 of us, because or compared to the previous 10, because we wanted to make sure that everybody is safe. We want to maintain the SOP, and we want to get the job done. So in other words, we every individual will bog down with a heavier workload, if you like, compared to those days.
Does
And
that mean you can help less people though with less manpower?
it could be, but this is what we don't want to see. But we want to have, like every company have this kind of policy. If you correct me if I'm wrong, with lesser people, but the output is going to be maintained. So this is what we will be feeling as well, because I fall into the management category.
Mm-mm-mm.
You see. So in a way, we want to make sure that everybody, excuse me, everybody can work as much as they can to make sure that we still maintain the level of commitment committed to the beneficiaries. So it's not fair for them, you see. But in a way, yeah, we sort of like have a more calm mind, as we know the pandemic better. We know how to not get infected. We just make sure that every one of us wear our masks, face shields, maintain a physical distance, make sure that we are not in the same room, all sorts of things. So we make sure that we even have to reorganize everything. Group A will not meet Group B, Group B will not meet C and A. We have a rotation basis, and I'm glad that so far we're still doing fine. It's just that it worries me to the max, because of the uncertainty, I would say.
Hmm. Has it been difficult, um, just in terms of people getting out there to the different points of where, the food is, or the collection points, or whatever it is you guys call it? Has it been difficult to actually get out there because of the MCO, with needing permits and permission and stuff?
Mm. Well, it's easier compared to those days. Now everybody seems like, okay, you know what, we will just have to live with this new norm, and we'll just get the permits done and all that. It's easier to travel around these days. Um, that we have already had that consensus with the local authorities, and to be
Mm.
honest with you, they're very friendly. They're very, some of the police blogs, we even get the thank yous.
Mm.
Terima kasih kerana menolong.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
oh, okay, thanks. That's something very nice.
Mm.
So yeah, it's really heartwarming to see all this. And but well, jokes aside, everything, now we're doing it. We the main worry for us as well is like we inadvertently carry the pandemic over. We don't want to be one of those who's spreading the virus around. We don't
Yeah.
want that to happen, and that's why it's challenging times. It's uncertainty that probably is the best word to
Mm.
describe all this.
But I remember talking to you, I think a couple of months back. There was
Yeah.
MCO one. Like, I'm sure you've learned a lot of how to maneuver, having to work around all these tight um I don't know,
Restrictions?
restrictions, I suppose. Yeah. And also now, because of MCO 1 and also now MCO 2, there are a lot more people without jobs, isn't it?
Oh
And
yes.
they need more. Yeah.
Are there a lot more homeless as a result of that as well?
Well, there are previously they were doing fine. There are a group of people who are doing fine previously. It's just that at this moment, because the moment they don't have savings, the main source of income just poof, just diminish like that. Then of
Mm.
course it will cause them panic and it will give them a lot of problems. And this is what we've been seeing. Some of them who usually been working in a local restaurant, local stall, suddenly end up being homeless because lost his job. Their business just gone, just
So
gone. The
awful,
business is
isn't it?
just
Mm.
gone like
Yeah.
that. And there are many more. I mean, even families struggle. Families with
Yeah.
expenses, some fixed expenses, they are the ones who are more likely to suffer. And in a way, I'm glad that our food bank program are able to help at least one part of this community with some basic provisions to make them, feel better. At least, they can plan their spending better.
Mm. So we understand also with what you provide that you're actually trying to also help some get jobs. Tell us more about that.
Well, okay, getting them jobs is harder than usual. Previously, it's really just very basic. What we have here in our operations is we interview them, we gauge the personality, we see what skills they have, what sort of job that probably suits them, and it's just a mere phone call, and the next thing you know, he's already on the job. But the current situation is that they're left with not much choice, to be honest with you, because the very fact that many of the homeless community individuals in the community, they were they were of a lower academic group, you see. So there's just not much choice for them, apart
Mm.
from being a security guard, being a kitchen helper or a waiter, or even as simple as a general worker, you see. So and it that itself, you still have to compete with the foreign workers. So there's not many choices left for them
Mm.
and whatnot. Now that the situation that they then some employers don't really want to hire at this moment of time due to the uncertainty, and even if someone is willing, so someone have to fork out the bill of getting them tested and quarantined.
Mm-mm.
That is that 14 days. So I give you an example. Recently, we helped one gentleman on the streets that who needed help to transport him and get his passport done and bring him to the port. And before that, you have to quarantine him in order to work in the ship.
Mm.
So it took us like probably 3 weeks to complete the whole process.
Wow.
Bringing him to the port itself is one bit of challenge, and then get his documentation done, get himself into the quarantine zone, making sure that he has food every day before he can finally board the ship. And now he's already effectively off the ship. Off the street. Sorry. And in fact, he's already off the ship because he's already ended his so-called contractual services. So he's back in Kuala Lumpur renting a room. So he's effectively off the streets. So it took or it takes more effort these days to
Mm.
make sure that someone really gets off the streets. Apart from just the shelters and the rehabs and whatnot, it's harder for those because what they fear is, what if this person actually has it is a COVID-19 carrier.
Right. Yeah. So it was already hard enough before.
Mm.
Now it's even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. So talking about that, you said people worry whether or not this person who was hopeless on the streets would be a COVID carrier. What are the stigma, or what are the stigmas around people who are homeless that we could just break right now?
Well, it's normal. I don't see people who stigmatize homelessness is bad. It's just that it's normal because we judge on whatever we see on the face value. But what I want to tell the public here is that we should look at their situation from a broader eye view. Yeah, at least get to know them better. We have to understand how they were brought up in the first place, how they get into this situation. And, as I have mentioned earlier, we do register them, we interview them,
Mm.
and from the data we have collected, 9,000 over, in fact, 83.7% tells us that they are actually school dropouts. They were, yeah, and then they did not have a very good upbringing per
Mm.
se. They are from the broken family, they single parentage, some grew up in the orphanage, some do not really communicate with their or keep in touch with their families already. That's 79% of them. So what does it tell you? Well, this group of people lack that personal care that every human or basically every individual deserves when they grow up. You know, when you're talking about a child being neglected, so what would happen? You see, people I hear here and there that there were stories about child abuse. There were stories about teenagers who got into troubles,
Mm.
and I would want to confirm with you that the cases like this actually contributes very much into homelessness as well, because you don't look at the physical side of things, and or if they're lazy, if they already, oh, these are the people who doesn't even want to help themselves, why are we helping them in the first place? But you have to look from an angle where what they have been through all this while. There were shocking revelations in the past that I've heard
Mm.
many of those, that some was not even recognized anymore in the family. Some were simply because they were not born with the same parentage, you see. So on and in some ways, well, it is very hard to mend a broken relationship. It's better that they go on separate ways at
Mm.
times. And then when you look at homelessness, it's more of the challenges they are facing now, as well as what they have been through in the past. So people have to look at this from a very different perspective. Try to empathize them. What have they been through all this while? You know, some of them might be substance abusers, some who have issues in the past, who made the wrong decisions in the past. Some is just very genuine. They just stranded. They are all probably they're not earning enough, and you know very well that cost of living in KL is not cheap at all,
Right.
and people do get into problems like this, such as homelessness. And again, when you look at the situation in Malaysia, we are doing way better than many of the countries out there. You know, in terms of the numbers, we have managed to reduce the numbers drastically, and the people who are left behind on the streets, not to count in those who are new to the streets, yeah, every day, you know, literally you're seeing more and more people getting into homelessness, as we say. Um, People need to understand this phenomenon. Urbanization is one of the main factor about homelessness. So people have to look at this in a more neutral perspective rather than stigmatize them. What you see might not tell you the real story.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying.
What you might see also might be something that could happen to you as someone you know, because
Yeah.
things happen that completely upset, everything in life, and that's,
That's beyond your control.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
So
mean,
it's more about the mental side of things, you know, psychology part of it.
right,
No, nobody is willing to sleep on the streets, and nobody's ambition is to become homeless when you know the first day
Yeah.
when you were born. So
Yep.
it's not like that. It has to be something. You see, it's not right for someone, an individual, who just take the street as their home, you know, without a choice. I would say they do not have a choice, and that's why that's the only place where they will go.
yeah, absolutely. Um, off the back of that, how would you suggest people as a society could actually help the homeless? Because they are part of society. It is a society problem. Um, and, it's important to look out for the homeless society, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So, how would you suggest, you know, it's important? How would you suggest we look out for the homeless society, and why is it so important that we do?
You see, as you pointed out rightly, Asha, homelessness is a part of a society. It already in our community. We have to take care of them because if we do not take care of them, there will be more people out there. You see, what I would advise to the community is that they have to work together. We come out and contribute your own way. Be it if you can't do it physically, then just a simple share and click on the button to just share our causes around, work with the local NGOs that who is helping not just the homeless but also the urban poor, because you're looking at the situation where everybody will just drop one level down. You see, someone who is B40, maybe they will drop down to B20. Then what happens to B20 then? And without
Mm.
need of mentioning M40, you see, so a lot of people with expenses, then suddenly they will have no more income. So that's why it's very important for everyone to work together, not just doing it in silo to help those in need. You see, the main reason why we created the food bank is to prevent more people from falling down the pecking order, if you like.
Mm.
And the fact that we want to empower those who have these skill sets and all that, so that they can be financially independent even during times like this. So it's very important that we all work together and not do your own thing in your silo way. It is to communicate, it's to contribute your part so that we can make this place a better place.
Can you just, for those who aren't so clear, explain from the horse's mouth, explain the difference between a food bank and the soup kitchen itself, or the handing out of meals?
Yeah. Well, soup kitchen is very clear cut. We prepare cooked food, something very simple for that particular time for the meal. Yeah, for the individual who have no facility in his place, his residence to cook. Say, for instance, a homeless. So he doesn't even have a home.
Mm.
So we prepare cooked food. So that's why we call a soup kitchen. And for an elderly who lives alone and who has no point of cooking, or he is just too frail to cook, so he would get that um, set of cooked food. Yeah.
Mm.
So this is the concept of a soup kitchen. And then, of course, you have some families who live very near to the city, and they just renting a room. They do not have a facility to cook, so that's a soup kitchen. So for food bank, it is more like providing the provisions, dry provisions, the rations that can last for a month or probably a few weeks, depending on the consumption. So these group of recipients will have a facility to cook at home, and they have to take care of the or manage of the rations given to them, and at the same time they go out and work and find some extra income to come back and supplement onto that. So food bank also have another category in the sense that there is a surplus food distribution, where we collect surplus food from local hypermarkets, local what do you call that, vegetables or produce suppliers, and
Mm.
extend to the community agencies that we are working in with, and then at the same time also the poor families. So one part you're talking about the soup kitchen helping the individuals, and
Mm.
on the other part you're helping the families and underprivileged individuals in the community homes.
Actually, Justin, if you don't mind me asking also, how much is the homeless situation or the problem very closely related to awareness and education? Because if you're from a small town or a company, you think, let me go to the big city, I'll get a job there and I'll be fine. But
Mm,
in a big city, you probably don't have much opportunities, or if you do, you're gonna get a job that doesn't pay you enough to actually get a place to stay. You might as well just stay in a small town, right? So
mm.
how much of it is just awareness and trying to get them to understand, like, hey, why don't you stay in this where you are?
Well, you see, the situation is there's nothing much to be done at their respective hometowns, if you like. That's why the compelling factor of them coming down to the capital to look for opportunities. That's what I did as well. Because there's nothing much in Kampar for me to do and to further on my career and all that. Otherwise, I would be very happy to be in my
Mm-hmm.
hometown. But the thing is, there's a very this is a chicken and egg. If I don't go out there, I don't try, I will not get. But if I stay put here, probably I will be in the same situation. I might as well go and try.
Mm.
Okay, but if it's a job that if you're skilled to work in an office or an organization, I understand go to the city. But
Yeah.
if all you're gonna do is probably work a farm job or maybe be a general worker at something, you might as well not come to the city, right?
Well, then again, yeah, you're talking about probably the support system that this individual has around him.
Mm-mm.
It's also playing an important role. Yeah, a lot of them probably would have chose to be staying put where they are. That's how you see rural poor as well. And some of the reasonings can be taking care of the elderly parents, or they are on a they're running a very basic life. They're okay with the arrangement, and some would just want to hit it but not knowing that the no opportunities in KL are as lesser as it can be at this moment, and also the fact that many of them do not have the same capability than others. They resorted to compete with each other. For the same job that is paying very much higher in their perspective, but you do not discount the fact that they have to rent rooms, they have to go
Mm-mm.
for some
Mm.
jobs that provides accommodation. That is why most of them they tend to choose jobs that can provide accommodation in that
Yeah.
respect.
Mm.
Because I was thinking the idea of working in the city, it's a lot better than actually working in the city. It's just the idea, right?
Yeah,
I think naivete is what allows us to reach for the
Yeah,
stars,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
which is we need a lot of
yeah.
it, a lot of
You're
times.
young. When you are young, you want to do something for yourself. You see, without regret, you want to try it at the very best.
Mm.
And probably if you have already done so in the past, then you're okay now. Yeah, I already tried
I've done
it.
it.
Now
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah,
time for me to go back.
yeah.
You know?
Okay, so let me ask you this. What can we as Malaysians do to care for others during these times? Now, say I have a job or two for somebody. Say I can, I don't know, provide clothes specifically for somebody who needs a particular job. There are loads of different ways that people can help, possibly, but we don't know necessarily how we can help. So, what would you say to them?
But, uh, anyone with these opportunities can always link us up. Then we can always discuss about it. Because as you see, our soup kitchen, our programs is not just limited to the homeless per se. We do want to link up with the poor families. You see, for matter of fact, they need extra incomes here and there, especially during this time. So if anyone who has these opportunities, we can actually work together and help individuals who are suitable for this. We can match them with jobs. We can see what else we can do for them. There are not many of them who is offering this sort of opportunities, to be honest with you, even for shelters and whatnot. But yeah, if you have someone who has this sort of window opportunities, it would be wonderful if we can link together and then work to see which individuals are best suitable for the job.
And in other ways, donating time, donating a bit of money. What's the smallest amount people can click to donate?
Yeah, yeah. NGOs like us will need the help very much, especially these times, because of the fact that there is increasing numbers of people to be helped and lesser people coming to provide that sort of assistance due to, of course, MCO. This moment is not completely possible.
Yeah.
And
But not everyone has 1,000 ringgit to donate, though. Some people don't even have a couple of
donate
hundred.
can then.
So yeah,
Donate
what's the
can.
minimum that can be donated? Because that would be handy to know.
Well, it will be very helpful. I mean, as much as we can get, there's no limit to someone that we will, we will force them to donate. You see, even if they are going to donate 1 ringgit to us, I know the next thing you know, it's not worth the donation because of the transaction charges that they will be imposed on. So might as well donate a little bit more.
So for every $10,
extra-
how much is the transaction charge taken off?
about, I'm not too sure, around 1 ringgit, I would say. For us, we are not charged, but it's more of the donor side, you see, when they are donating.
But
So
you still lose the money. You still lose the 1 ringgit, right? So we need to have a chat. Maybe we could put anyone who's running banks out there. Can we help here? Do something about this. If you don't take it off us, it's not us we're paying for. It's just them. Kechara getting only 9 ringgit.
yeah.
So
Please confirm this again because I've already left the
yeah,
bank for like 20
Right,
years
right.
ago.
Yeah.
brilliant.
But Justin, thank you so much for doing what you do. As usual, we
Welcome.
love having chats with you because you give us the real story,
Yeah.
and it is very, very tough out there.
Yeah, it's really tough out there. Thank you so much for having me here. I mean, I would love to share my thoughts here from time to time. And it's unprecedented times here. I wish everybody a safer 2021 as well as a happier one. Then please take care.